Let's talk a little bit about one way in which we can address and solve problems in the global community, and that's through international law and the development of international governmental organizations. It's important to acknowledge the fact that these are governmental organizations. The emphasis here is on states and governments and how they work together collectively to address common problems. As we've talked about throughout this course, states are very interdependent. The global community is very interconnected. And so problems in one part of the world often have an impact on problems in another part of the world or cause problems in another part of the world. So it's best when they work together to solve those common problems, because no one particular state, no one particular actor can solve any one particular problem. Take issues like that we've discussed throughout this class, like international terrorism, conflict, war, poverty. No one particular actor can solve those problems. So they have to work collectively. It's in their self-interest and their collective interest to do so. Now, to be sure, there's really nothing new about international law. In fact, states that have been interacting with one another for some time in the global community, for centuries really, have been doing so in a way that they set out customary practices and ways in which they expect each other to behave. This is really a precursor for today's international law and organizations. But it's really been in the 20th century that we saw a huge leap forward in terms of global interactions among states and nations and the creation of multiple organizations. We'll talk about some of these later, but organizations like the United Nations, for example, that were created after the Second World War during the 20th century to address collectively the problems that we face today. So to be specific, let's talk about some of the formal organizations that are operating in the global community today. As I mentioned, like the United Nations, like the European Union, like the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO. These are fine examples of intergovernmental organizations in today's global community. These organizations are very formal in nature in the sense that they have charters that establish them, they have states as members, they have secretariats, meaning that they have certain locations, they have offices, they have a budget, they have members that pay dues. They're very formal in their structure. So these kinds of organizations, international governmental organizations, are very critical in helping address, again, common collective problems in the global community in a very formal way. Now, these types of formal organizations are distinct from more informal arrangements in the global community, arrangements we call international regimes. International regimes are often based on certain types of international laws or treaties, agreements where states come together and say, hey, we don't want to pollute the oceans, or we don't think nuclear weapons should be spread around the world. So the Law of the Sea or the Non-Proliferation Treaty are good examples of treaties and laws that help create what we call an international regime, an expectation of certain behavior. So when states get together and they write these laws and these treaties, they're agreeing to behave in a certain way. They prescribe behavior and they proscribe behavior. They tell states what they can do and what they can't do. And even though that's the same thing as an international governmental organization like the UN, a very formal organization, it's the same type of arrangement, except that regimes are nowhere near as formal. They don't have secretariats, they don't have offices and budgets. They may get together to meet frequently, but they're a lot less formal and a lot less costly, actually. So we see many more of these than we do international organizations, formal organizations. We have many more of what we call international regimes in today's global community. So whether we're talking about international governmental organizations, formal organizations, or informal international regimes, the outcome really is the same. Both of them enhance awareness and increase information about partners within the global community. As states come together and interact and share information about their interests, they know more about one another. They sign agreements and treaties that lead to these organizations that then provide expectations for behavior. And so we have more information about how other states are supposed to behave, and it enhances our certainty about our partners in the global community. Ultimately, these organizations, whether it's a regime or a formal organization, they're there to help increase chances for cooperation. In the international community, we do see a lot of cooperation. It's usually through these organizations, formal and informal, that cooperation is best achieved. So ultimately, all of these tools, international laws, organizations, regimes, treaties, regulations, they're all very meaningful tools that help states come together and collectively solve global problems.